I want to ask you something, Johnny. I'm really, really curious. You're a dentist. You never talk about dentists because you don't like talking about dentistry. You pull teeth, obviously, right?
Uh-huh.
When you practice, we were learning how to pull teeth. Now, obviously they gave you some type of like a dummy or like a fake jaw with teeth in it, right? That's how they would teach you how to extract a tooth, or you just yanked it out of a kid for the first time.
They go to like medical. Practice on poor people, right?
For that, no. Well, we work, in the clinic. You're in like OS, and you.
Now, do you remember pulling your first tooth ever?
No.
Oh, were you nervous?
I'm sure I was, But I mean, there's somebody there,
I know, but I don't know what you're yanking a tooth out of someone's face. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's just a lot of physics to it. Like, I mean, depending on what you're doing, if it's a thing, it's just a lot of pushing and stuff like that. So it shouldn't be that difficult. I don't remember. I really don't. I remember, I remember the clinic and stuff like that.
I'm not talking about the front teeth. I'm talking about like the back molar.
Yeah.
Front tooth, I can just pop it out. I'll use my teeth to pull it out. But the back molar, how do you get that thing out of there?
There's a lot of like you elevate it, you push, you have a thing that kind of pushes on it, so it kind of wiggles a little bit, and then it's just a matter of
the Paparuski,
force.
Right?
Yeah, you kind of like
yank that sucker out.
Like you use a figure 8 motion.
What's the matter, Joe? You don't like this conversation?
I do not like this conversation at all.
You're trying to break red. Are you okay?
I'm good.
Okay, real quick, I got to ask you something, because this bothers me. And I'm trying not to complain as much, because people say I complain. Everybody's like, you're very positive and upbeat and happy, but you complain about everything. I don't like watching voice actors do voices. Does it bother you when you see, like, they get up and they throw their arms around and make weird faces? I don't like watching voice actors do voice acting.
I actually seek those videos out. I love watching that. Dude.
I don't like it.
It's like pulling back the curtain. You get
I like seeing who does the voice, but I don't want to see him transform his face to talk.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I like it too.
I think it's cool seeing how nauseous you got trying to pull teeth.
Yeah, talk about teeth, bro. Love getting teeth pulled. It's a great experience.
Oh, awesome. All right.
I'm gonna make Dr. Johnny pull all of mine.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
We'll have a party.
Excellent.
Just yank it out, baby.
Just pour Fireball in all of my holes.
That doesn't sound good. Fireball in holes? No, thank you. On that note, hit it, Joe. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Zapp Comics Radio Podcast. This is episode, 30 something?
Nice, dude. Congratulations.
I don't remember. But we're going strong. We're doing more regularly now, which is good. I'm around more, and thank you guys for being around more as much.
Yeah.
So of course, we're powered by Libsyn, and we're brought to you by Zapp Comics. Hence the Zapp Comics Radio Podcast name. So Jonny Knoll, Joseph Ott.
Nice.
And I'm Corry, of course. Corry Brown.
Corry Michael Brown,
CMB. So I want to ask you something. Of course, we got a curveball this week with Walking Dead. Now, Robert Kirkman, I've never heard anything but good things from the guy. I love how he runs the company. Skybound is amazing that he actually created that label under Image. And of course, the shows are on and the movies and all those properties are getting greenlit for pilots and everything, but Walking Dead has always been a mainstay at the store. I know it dipped quite a bit the last few years, but the way it took off, and when the show came out, and the trades sell like crazy, the issues were very consistent. Of course, they killed Rick Grimes, which wasn't as shocking as it could have been because he died in the show. Mm-hmm. I know you don't really read the book, Johnny, but you know of it. You know what's going on. And I read issues 1 through 100, like cover to cover. I love them. I kind of let it go after that. I still pay attention. I kind of flip to the books. I talk to people who read the book. And I don't know why the AC's not coming on in here. It's hot in here, no?
Yeah.
That's
all right. Not too bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Joe's okay. Well, anyways.
It's a fat boy's okay.
So of course, 192 comes out. And the reason why we had a feeling something happened in 192 because in 191, Rick gets shot. Big time, right in the chest.
Bad wound, yeah. There was
now,
no
I'm
way.
like, obviously this guy is not going to make it. They're trying to make up for when Carl, his son, got shot many, many moons ago, and it literally, the panel, half his face was gone.
And it missed his brain, so he lived.
And then the next issue, he has like a little eye patch on. So obviously they made a mistake. So My initial thought was this was going to happen. He got shot, and he's not going to die yet. He's going to be dying over a couple issues.
Bedridden, right?
Bedridden, and they're going to do a lot of flashbacks. A lot of talking in the town. What do we do? What if something happens to him? He's in a coma. He's not going to make it.
That's almost how they would handle it if it happened on the TV show.
That's what I was thinking. They're going to stretch it out because issue 200 is going to be a doozy. Or that's when he's going to die. Because if you rewind, if you remember when the lead up to 100 was coming out, everybody's going nuts for 100. What's going to happen 100? Because he said something's going to happen. And in issue 98, out of nowhere, Abraham, who was a main character, gets an arrow right through his head. So it's like, wait a minute. If he goes down 98, what's going to happen on 100? And then, of course, with Glenn, it was ridiculous. I mean, you remember, Johnny, with all the books on the end cap, all the different covers. And
oh, yeah.
It was crazy.
It's weird that it's been that long. I remember when that happened.
So I'm thinking that's what's going to happen with this. And if you guys know, you'll know, Joe, when you read a solicitation for Walking Dead, it just says like the story continues or Ezekiel has a tiger. It doesn't give you any descriptions really big time of the story.
They're very cryptic.
It's usually
it has something to do with it, but it's very cryptic.
So of course we placed the orders for the other ones. So 192 is coming out. This is to backtrack a little bit. This, like I said, my thoughts were 200 is when Rick's going to die and it's going to be a big major thing.
I remember saying to you, man, what's 200? Is it going to end? Because it's a big number.
A big number, and Rick dies in the show, so he gets hit in 191. So Kirkman's like, listen, I'm not going to say anything, but you might want to up your orders for 192. Wink, wink. So he's kind of telling you, order this book. So we ordered very heavy on 192. Came out, of course, Rick dies.
So it was justified.
Justified, and the fact that Carl actually had... spoilers, if anybody hasn't read the book, I'm sorry.
Do not listen to this podcast any further. If you missed the title or the picture of the podcast, stop now.
Yeah,
okay.
It's not about pulling teeth. Maybe we'll do one on pulling teeth, Johnny. I'm going to go to your office.
I'll set that one out.
Yeah. So Carl has to shoot him when he gets zombified, of course. Right? Is that what happened? So...
Yeah.
So
Carl it was like a reflex. He had, even though it was dad, he had to kill his dad.
So you're like, what the heck? So, of course, Rick is dead. People know he's dead. So you're going to get people that are like, I'm never reading this book again. So right after this happens, they immediately do the second printing cover, which is an all-red cover, and it has Rick's face on it, and it says in memorial, and it gives the dates. So I know a lot of people are going to jump off the book, because they're like, I'm done. And it wasn't as shocking because Rick already died in the show, so it wasn't as big of a...
Is he dead in the show, though?
No, he's not dead.
He's not dead, but he seemed like he's dead. But he's not on the show.
But they kind of,
Yeah, so it took away some of the blow.
So.
He'll be back in some capacity.
Yeah, in movies only, apparently. But either way, it took away some of the blow of him dying in the book because it happened in the show first, technically. So now 193 is coming out to order. Kirkman comes out and says, listen, all 193s are returnable. So whether you order 10 or 1,000, you can return them at a future date, and you're going to get full credit back.
And you were taking that as like there might be some fall off of this book after Rick dies. That's what you took that offer as, like, so even if we order heavy on 193 and not a lot of people buy, they're still going to be cool and let us return all the issues in case, we don't know what the market's going to be like. We don't know what the customers are going to...
A lot of times they do, like Marvel will do, they'll match your orders. So if you order 25 copies, we'll send you 50. 25 free to keep it on the shelf, whether it's like a new character, new title, or whatever.
That's pretty cool.
So when they said that, I'm like thinking, okay, he's like, listen, I promise you 200 is going to be big. Just keep it up. I don't want the numbers to drop like a rock. It's a very safe thing to do. Even if you just order what you normally order, it's safe. If they don't sell, you send them back. You might have to sit on them for a month or two, but whatever. You just keep them aside and send them back. So that's what I'm thinking. So we doubled our order. Just instinctively, because like I said, you can't lose. You have to pay the money up front, but what are you going to do?
It's Walking Dead, yeah. We'll willing to take the gamble, sure.
Yeah, so we do that.
And then,
it's coming out. So I ordered heavier on the second print cover, because everybody's going to want that cover, because it's a Death of Rick.
Memorial cover,
even though it's the second print. And the first printing it just says Carl on the cover. I think it's Carl. It's a boring cover. This one has a cool, nice cover. So we didn't go crazy on the regular issue. And then, all of a sudden, the morning before...
Tuesday morning,
it hits. Boom. It's over. This book is done. Kirkman said nothing to anyone about it. And there was even solicitations for 194 and 195.
I was saying to Johnny before, I remember the solicitations for 194 and 195 with the one-line cryptic sentences, and I'm like, oh, it looks like they're still en route to issue 200. Yeah. That's genius, making fake solicits in the previews mag for books that are never going to exist.
And this is why I give Kirkman all the credit in the world. There was a $3.99 book. 193.
And what is it, like 90 pages?
It's massive. It's square.
It's like 3 times the size of a normal issue.
Okay. It's regular price. It's returnable if you don't sell them, which obviously is not going to happen because it's sold out.
Sold out, baby.
Okay. He could have made it $10, $8, incentivize it. He could have had it in issue 200 where you have to order. There's 35 different covers. There's a 1-in-1.
Yeah, how many covers are there for this 193? One.
Yeah, there's nothing.
For a final issue.
The final issue, to walk away from it and literally just drop the mic and walk away, he left a ton of money on the table. You know why? And this is super hard to pull off in 2019. I was telling Johnny this earlier. It's a surprise. There's no more surprises. Even we didn't know. Mm. And he's done this before. He did it with Die. All of a sudden, you got a box of books.
Those were free, right?
They were free, and he matched an order to another book you guys got. And he goes, oh, here you go. It just says retailer free, which happens. They just send you more copies of something. It's a brand new title. Thank you. Oblivion Song did the thing with a different color signature.
Yep. Oh.
Those variants.
Walking Dead did that once, too.
Yeah, Die has a different word bubbles on the cover.
Yep.
So, he's like, I'm trying to help you out.
Cool stuff.
It's cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, it was amazing. I give him all the credit in the world, and Johnny, you remember him from like Marvel Zombies and Battle Pope and all that stuff like that, and look where he came. Now, I don't know what he's going to do now, but the fact that he pulled that off in 2019 is amazing. That guy's got balls.
Seriously.
And it worked. It worked.
Big time. Everyone's flipping out.
It's huge.
It's unbelievable.
And you can't be mad at that.
No.
Because I'm losing a ton of money because I can't get all these incentivized variants, but my bill's not huge, so there's no pressure on me because, we did a limit of 1 per customer, 193 to make sure everybody got one. I had people calling from other stores. Yeah, my store sold out, and I'm holding them for them. They're coming all the way over here to thank you. My store sold one guy 10 copies. I was so mad. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to give everybody a copy.
No, they made this easy for retailers to be fair about it,
Yeah, so it's nuts. Even Johnny bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Johnny.
My only issue.
Yeah, but because it's a landmark issue, you appreciate it. It's like I said, I haven't really paid attention to Walking Dead, and I wasn't into Walking Dead when it first came out. But I love Kirkman because of Invincible. I love Invincible. That was like one of my favorite books ever. It was ridiculous.
You didn't like Super Dinosaur, you mean?
No, that's and was it Tech Jacket?
Tech Jacket. And Battle Pope.
And
Marvel Zombies. You ever hear that one before?
Yeah, A Thief of Thieves. He started, and that was hot for a while. Then he kind of let it go. Remember what was the other one? Haunt.
And that was
was that the one that looked like Spawn?
Yeah.
McFarlane, right?
McFarlane, yeah. That sold like crazy when it came out.
What was the one he did with Liefeld that only lasted 4 issues? They did a hardcover for the first issue. The Infinite.
Oh, Infinite, that's right. Yeah, so I give him credit, man. That's awesome. It's ridiculous that he could pull it off. So, yeah, it was neat. I couldn't really promote the book because I didn't go crazy promoting it because I don't want to promote something I'm going to tell, you can only get one. Like, that's another thing, too, it took away from us. We could have done, like, an event. This last issue of Walking Dead, we could have a midnight release.
Midnight release would
all
have been
the
huge.
Stuff. Yeah. And he avoided all that because he just wanted it to be a regular book, and it was. I did you read it?
I did.
It was very well done.
It was really moving.
It was very
emotional.
well done.
Yeah, it was very well done. Excellent skill. We're doing all the spoilers, so it's a 15-year time jump. Carl there's like a spitting image of his dad. Really moving. Him and Sophia end up together. They have the child. They have a
daughter
kid.
named Andrea.
It's awesome. Yeah, a lot of naming children after
Michonne
parents
is now
and
like the head
grandparents.
judge.
She's like the Supreme Court judge of the.
Carl's got the sword in his house in case she needs it. Was it Maggie's the president of the United States?
Maggie is the president.
Who?
Maggie. She's been in it forever.
Okay.
And he lives in Herschel's farmhouse. Right? Does he live in her farmhouse?
Yep.
And then Herschel has like a zombie farm.
Maggie's son, they named Herschel, right?
Yes.
After Grandpa Herschel.
Yes.
And then he runs like this traveling sideshow of zombies to all the communities because now that zombies are so far removed from their new culture, zombies is like this risque thing.
Around, like
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like a sideshow, come check out, and he makes money, and the zombies have worth now. Like the zombies, because just like anything, just like comics or cards, the scarcity of it, increases the value. So now zombies cost money.
It's like a circus sideshow.
Yeah.
And then Carl takes out one of the zombies, and Herschel wants to sue him because it's his property, right?
And then they deemed that even though he was defending himself and his family, he's got to replace the zombie. So he has to pay a fine, but he has to replace that zombie.
Yeah.
Which is not easy really to do unless he's going to kill somebody.
Yeah. So it's like it looked kind of like the Western times almost, like early settlement here, like a little bit after the early
like
settlement.
the third Back to the Future movie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. I don't think electricity's really there yet, but they were working on it. It was kind of, and then what's his name was trying to make the connection from the east to west coast, right? What's his name? The inventor.
Oh, Eugene. Yeah, they built the railroad. It was like history repeating itself, thousands of years later.
So it was neat. It was interesting. I think that they did it. It did well.
That was really nice. It wasn't a super sad ending. It was hopeful. What was interesting was that at the end of the book, there's a really beautiful eulogy that Kirkman wrote about the series and about his attachment to it and having second thoughts and cold feet about ending it. And even as he's writing it, after everything's said and done and sent to the printer, he's like questioning his decisions because he loved the material so much. And aside from that being really beautifully written, after that is there was 3 covers intended for preview solicits, one that didn't get released. And he said this may or may not continue the rest of the story just from the covers. And it leads up to the second cover has Carl stabbing himself, fatally with Michonne's sword. And the final cover of what would have been 196 is his wife and kid, like in front of his gravestone. So you wonder, and he said this might have been the conclusion. These were just fake covers that Adler made, for the previous mag, but that's also like a little interesting epilogue as well. Does that happen? Does it not happen?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty weird. Why would he do that?
Yeah, no, it's
But it's a lot of cool things that were dropped on us in a very, very short amount of time, which I can't think of any other comic book property that does anything like that.
No, you can't pull this off anymore. It's almost impossible, especially in this day and age.
Surprise anybody? And I'm surprised that leaked the day before. I'm sure. I don't know if that was intentional.
No, I think what happens is
the books are out.
Yeah.
Oh, someone
we get them the day before. Like,
Tuesday.
say, I get them Tuesday morning, but if you're like in England, you might get them. It's like Tuesday morning, like Monday night here.
Oh yeah.
And that's what happens. And you plus if you're at this company, you get advance copies. I can read a book Tuesday morning and
but there's got to be some kind of non-disclosure agreement, notice where like if you do that, you can get sued. If you leak that information. Well, I'm sure they want a little bit of publicity.
No, of course they they want they want to hype it up. Also, you also want to get back to the stores and say like, listen, go get it. You don't want it to be.
I read something. I forget what site it was, but they were allowing retailers to order it like this week or something, or
well, the second ones are up. The second prints.
The second prints are up.
Yeah. Oh, for 193.
Yeah, they'll be out in a couple weeks, but you can order them.
And that's sold out.
No, second print's still there.
Second print's still there? Okay.
Yeah, I think they sold out yesterday.
The order's not finalized yet. Once the book is sold through, they can add a second printing.
Okay.
So yesterday
morning.
There was probably some available before yesterday. Wanted to reorder.
It sold.
It sold. So it's interesting.
It is.
Like and he's like, I know this is a dream sequence, but I think we always talk about if McFarlane ever went to and did an Amazing Spider-Man cover, and they made it like a 1 in 1,000 variant, how many copies of that book you'd sell? And McFarlane said he'll never do that, so which is fine, whatever. So if Kirkman ever went to Marvel and did a Marvel Zombies series, or Ant-Man or something, anything, it'd be ridiculously huge. It'd be like when like Jim Lee and them went back to Marvel, and you get Frank Miller go back to Batman or something like that. It would be massive. And
they just announced last week or the week before, right, about Marvel Zombies coming back. Man, it's not Kirkman, but that would have been huge.
Yeah, if they just just do a 6-issue series, just let him do it. Put his name on it. But I don't know what he's gonna do. I really don't, because Outcast is ending. Oblivion Song just got picked up, and Die 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 is like a whatever book.
Yeah, it's not. It hasn't come out in a while.
Yeah, but it doesn't have legs. It's just like a fun book.
That was a book where Gimple probably, when they were sitting in the writer's room drunk one day, he was like, "Yo, man, let me do a comic book with you one day." And he was like, "All right, cool, we'll do a comic book. We're going to release for free the first one, just surprise the retailer with it."
That's all it is. And so, I'm sure he has something. He did Invincible for so long, and then Walking Dead for very long.
Invincible and Walking Dead, R.I.P. That's it.
You ever read Invincible, Johnny? I think you'd
I
like
don't
it.
think so.
It's
Here
basically
there,
if
but-
Peter Parker has Superman powers.
Mhm.
And I got hooked on it because one of our good customers, Ralph, he moved to Florida. Georgia. When I first started working at Zapp in 06, 07, he loved Kirkman. And he's like, oh, read Walking Dead. I'm like, I don't like zombies, dude. And he's like, okay. He's like, it's not a zombie book. I'm like, yeah, it is. He goes, no, it's basically, there's 2 islands, and you're on one island, there's stuff on the other island you have to get to, and eventually, every now and then, you have to go to the other island to get supplies or whatever. And there's sharks in the water. So you got to be careful of sharks, because they'll eat you or bite you or whatever.
Yep.
The sharks are zombies. But you're more worried about the guy sleeping next to you that kill, and that's what. And I realized when the way he's described it, I'm like, you know what? Okay, I can read that. And I read it. Like the zombies are just background; they're just in the way.
Literally.
It's not a zombie book.
Yeah.
I know the show makes it like a zombie, but his book isn't zombies.
No, but still, it is the same kind of. I know. I think it is the kind of. There is so much you can tell in that story because it is kind of rinse and repeat. Has been, they go to a place, it's okay, crap happens.
Well, that's why I stopped at 100.
And then they go and they have to go to another place, and it's okay, and then crap happens, and they have to go to another place. It's not,
That's why I stopped at 100. Because
Yeah.
I was like done with it, but I enjoyed it. Like the whole governor scene and the prison stuff was awesome. But Invincible, I wanted to read that because I remember seeing the books and the shirts, or whatever. I'm like, what is it? And he told me, I'm like, oh, I don't care. As Superman, I don't care. But he's like, no, that's his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad is like the biggest villain you'll ever meet. I'm like, what? And he told me what he did. So even though it was spoiled for me, that's what got me to read the book. And I was hooked on it, and I loved it. I loved Otley's art on it. And,
Yeah, because that's not right at the beginning. You find that out later.
No, pretty early
Right?
on.
Was
Yeah,
it?
pretty early on. Yeah. Was it Omni-Man? I can't remember.
I think
It's been
so.
so long since I read it. And Alan the Alien and stuff. That's one of those books where I read it so long ago. I really want to, now that it's done, I really want to reread it and sit down and reread it and just enjoy it. But Amazon is doing an animated.
Animated Invincible?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know Mark Hamill's in one of the voices. So.
Oh, well, awesome.
But that's cool. So, he's built this big empire. Skybound is massive. I know it's an entertainment thing too, with The Walking Dead, the shows and the movies and
The merch.
So we'll see what it comes down to. But
Yeah.
it's crazy. Kirkman, good for you.
Yeah, seriously.
He went out the way he wanted to go out, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I've been a huge fan of this book since you showed it to me 10 years ago, longer than that.
Or longer than that,
yeah. And even though the story is fictional, the book got me through a lot of rough times. There's a lot of stories of hope and inspiration and perseverance in there.
Yeah. No, I know.
And like I said, even though the stories are fictional, you look at it and you say, wow, these people really have a lot going on here, and it kind of minimizes your own problems when you're reading it. You say, well, even though it's a comic book, these people really got a crappy situation they got to deal with, and they all figure it out and they get it through it. And it's nice to have that around. So now that it's gone, I definitely, for a consumer, for a reader, like myself, definitely a hole. It is sad. This issue was not sad. It wasn't
No, it
wasn't depressing.
Sad.
It was really
cool. It wasn't depressing. It wasn't it wasn't unbelievable.
No.
It wasn't oh, really? Come on. It wasn't anything like that. It was very, a nice ending. Even Invincible ended very nicely.
Reading the spoilers on Bleeding Cool on Tuesday morning,
Yeah.
I was very worried because there was a lot to tie up, and I did, at that point we hadn't established that there was a time jump yet, so I was very concerned how they were going to tie up so many different little things or questions that everyone might have about what would happen, and I really, even though it sounded scary, a 15-year time jump, it's for a not a rush issue, but for a surprise last issue like that, we needed that. The readers of this book, we needed a time jump to be able to establish what was going to happen, because we've cared about these characters for over a decade. You can't just drop us off after Rick dies. We need to see some closure on many, many things, Negan,
and at the
kids,
At the same time, you don't need to read, 100 issues of them growing older and setting up because you know how it happens. It's history. You don't need to read it,
Well, I think it was on Bleeding Cool. They had a thing, I don't know if it's in that issue, he was talking about it. Kirkman was talking about how he originally had another, the ending
He did. It was for like in the 70s, and he wound up cutting it off because he said it was a complete opposite ending where civilization reverted back to before the zombie as the zombie apocalypse broke out.
So yeah, they have
couldn't hold it together.
It's Rick doing a speech, whatever, and then it goes to the statue.
The next scene would be the statue of his head with vines growing around it, like it's been many years since.
And they pull back, and then it's an empty area and everything, and then there's just the zombies walking around. So basically, it was over and the zombies won. Okay. So, but he's like, it was so dark and everything.
Yeah, plus people care about the characters too much. If that was a 12-issue series, maybe, but you can't do that when it had that many the legs the way it had.
Oh yeah,
because that's big. That is, and I know I didn't like the show, but I know people do. It's cool. It's pop culture. It's gonna be forever known. Like it's gonna be like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Walking Dead's up there in that same bubble.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad, all that stuff. It's there, because I remember when Walking Dead was out, and I was gaining momentum, and the show came on, like it exploded.
Oh yeah, that was huge.
Exploded, and the thing there's a good amount of people that come in, they just buy Walking Dead. I know when they come in, they walk in the door, and I come up, I ring them up, it's 4:27 with tax, whatever, and they leave. And like today, they came in the door, waiting behind the counter. As soon as they walk in, I just hand it to them, because I know that's why they're there, and I know they're not coming back in anytime soon. Because one lady was joking, she's like, I love coming here, blah, blah, blah. She's like, you know what, hopefully in like 10 years, my son will be a teenager, and he'll be reading this stuff, so, take care. And she left. That's all she read was Walking Dead. That's it, she's done. So that's going to be kind of sad. But a lot of guys who weren't into comics, didn't know about comics, read what the show Walking Dead. I heard it's a book, and because the story was so engrossing and hooked you in.
It became the gateway drug to comic books.
They would read it so fast and be like, what else is there? I'm like, I don't know, like, what do you want to read? I need something close. Okay, here's Preacher, here's Sandman, here's Why the Last Man. And they read those, what else you got? I'm like, well, I know you're not the superheroes, but this Dark Knight Returns. And next thing you know, they're picking up like New 52 Aquaman. You know what I mean? Like, because you just need to get a taste of it. You need to try it and enjoy it. It's not, and that's what Watchmen, all that stuff. They got Watchmen and Walking Dead are the two books that I saw. It really brought people in. And it brought people in, not just like, I'm going to buy this and leave. They came right back and said, I need more. There's some things that hit that are big, and they just come in, they buy it and leave. Like when Obama was on the cover of Spider-Man, that was major. But these guys came in, bought them, and they never came back because it was a collector's item.
Yep.
But now that you're reading things, it opened up that door for everything. It really reestablished Image being a powerhouse, because Image is massive now. Image was going away. It was like when I thought of Image, it was like Spawn, Brigade, Youngblood, all that stuff.
And like I think the span of Walking Dead, the property itself goes even beyond just the comic store. Look at like New York Comic Con, for instance. The Walking Dead is like the face of New York Comic Con.
Every badge has The Walking Dead on it.
Every spotlight panel every year was Walking Dead related, and guests and whatnot.
It's pop culture. It's major. It's in the same category and conversation as Batman.
But like you said, it grew fans into comic book fans, not just Walking Dead fans. They weren't just coming for Walking Dead. I mean, initially they were, but like you said, they branch out, and it's like, I like this, and this.
There's pluses and minuses on it, and like for example, Stranger Things. Okay, the new season's coming out. I'm dreading the new season.
Dude, tonight at midnight, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I'm dreading the new season.
You doing it? You want to get in our underwear and watch tonight?
No,
you and me?
No, thank you.
Oh.
I mean, you in the underwear is fine, but I don't want to.
Okay, good. That's what I was most concerned about.
I love season 1. I watched it over and over again because it felt like a little show. It was like set in this little town, like literally a block of space, and it was neat. The kids were fun, and it was like a little problem that was just there.
Like Paper Girls.
Yeah, they took care of it. Okay?
And then the end of season 2 happened, and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, so season 2 comes and goes, which is fine, but you could tell that, it was getting successful. Now, you always want something that's yours. You want everybody to see it. But the thing is, though, then it starts to get changed. Like, no, can I have it back? It's like, no, you gave it to me. You told me to have this. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And so it doesn't get ruined. It just changes.
It does.
It grows. So Stranger Things, I'm worried about season 3. Because season 3, to me, looks too big. Because it's product placement everywhere. And, Johnny, you and me talk about this all the time. They'll have something that takes place in the 80s. It'll be like 1986. Okay? And this room will be everything that ever existed in the 80s, but they wouldn't be there at the same time. It'd be like you wear the hat that was big in 1982, the jacket that was big in 89, and the sneakers that were big in 85. They weren't all together at the same time. Even though, like, if you want to mash up the 80s and, like, what was big in the 80s.
Well, yeah, it's the Goldberg syndrome. It's
the Goldberg syndrome. It doesn't, it goes back and forth. It's too much. And I have a feeling with this season it's going to be like that.
They can't have a Game Boy and a pager.
Pizza Hut is changing their logo back.
Yeah.
For Stranger Things?
They're just for the time being, because retro's in. You could bring it back. New Coke is coming back. Okay, Stranger Things and everywhere. And on the previews, you can see they're clearly drinking whatever it is, and you can see it. It's all product placement. I get it. It pays the bills. I understand that. But I get worried because I'm like, what's going to happen? And it's like, you can attest to this, Joe. It's like a band. A local band. You've seen them play at the same bar, and they're awesome. They sound like they're in your garage. It's so good. They've released 2 albums, and all of a sudden they get signed to a label, okay? And they get like Rick Rubin comes in and produces it, right? They clean it up, and it sounds amazing. But now they're opening up for somebody. Yep. And then a year and a half later, they're playing the arena by themselves, and they're having somebody else open them. And you go there, and you're so excited because you know these guys. You used to talk to them on the in the street and like BS with them, and
now they wouldn't even know you.
And now you're like, they're so big. It's like they grew, but it's like they're gone. And it's not bad because that's the level you go, and that's what you need. There's a perfect Tool song, "Hooker with a Penis."
Hooker with a Penis, dude.
One of my favorite songs. I don't know if you know the song, Johnny.
No.
You might know "Hooker with a Penis," but I don't know if you know the song. It's basically this. It's a song, but he's talking to the kid.
Yeah.
There's a kid. He's at like in like a I guess like a mall, and there's a kid sitting across from him saying to him, calling him a sellout. So he's saying to the kid, you're drinking Pepsi, you're wearing your like Levi's jeans, you're wearing a Beastie Boys tee, you call me sellout? I sold out before you even heard my name. Because people don't know what the word sellout means. To me, sellout means, correct me if I'm wrong, if Burger King says, hey, I want to use your song in our commercial. Okay, and they use it. That's not a sellout. To me, it's selling out. It's like, I want to use your song, but every time you say kill, we're going to change it to the word Whopper.
That is a sellout.
That's a sellout because you're like, here you go. To me, it's not because they want to use your song in something. Doesn't mean it's a sellout. You know what I mean? Like, plus you also have to get paid the bills. You can't live in your friend's floor.
Seriously. There has to be progression. There has to be forward movement.
Well, that's the thing with sellout. I mean, sellout is like, it's just people want it pure without any kind of monetary thing with it. But you're right.
In order for something to grow, you're going to be Fonzie. Nobody wants to see a 43-year-old Fonzie.
That's right.
Because he's a loser.
They want to see his eventual haircut in 10 years.
It's like, what's the name of that movie? Dazed and Confused?
Yeah.
Dazed and Confused.
Matthew McConaughey. Yeah. When he's like, what does he say? They stay the same.
I keep getting older, but they stay the same age.
Because he's cool in high school. Right. He's a jock. He's a good-looking guy. He smokes, all that stuff. And then he stays in the town. So now it's like, I just have to prey on, like, 16-year-olds. Because they don't know better. They haven't learned, whatever. He's got a car, whatever. He thinks he's cool, and he's not. And that's to go back to Stranger Things. And it's not a bad thing. I'm just worried that it's going to be, like, such a big event. It's so big, I don't know. And it happened to me with Seinfeld. I love Seinfeld. I remember watching a pilot when I was in junior high school. Cause I was like, this looks funny. I watched it, and I got big in high school. But then in high school, everybody's like going, yada, yada, yada. The show about nothing. And I'm like, no, that's not what this show's about. Like, you guys, what? Because you bring in all the mainstream people who just enjoy it for what it is. Surface value. And they do that, and it made me angry when now I don't care, but back then I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. So now when I rewatch it, I really enjoy the early seasons because it's just like a little problem, like missing phone calls. Later on, it becomes like, okay, Kramer has to trip in this episode. Mm-hmm. Elaine has to say a really one-liner. George has to look dumb, and Jerry has to point out how dumb they all look. Like, you know what I mean? It becomes very. It was very like, okay, let's.
The formula.
Well, that too. Left for a while, so that
Larry
kind
David,
of, yes,
too.
that kind of.
But it also got so big. It was massive. Again, I'm not knocking it. It's a good thing.
Show me where to bet my money. This is the last season of Stranger Things.
No, I think it was 4. They said 4.
Oh, is it 4? I thought there was 3.
They said 4. That's it.
Do you think the 4th will be a sequel of 3, or will it be a prequel?
No, I think they're going to keep going forward.
Keep going forward?
Yeah.
They might have to time jump. These kids are getting old quick.
Yeah, seriously.
But
Got to keep those kids working all summer long. No vacation.
Listen, I'm not going to say I'm not going to watch it. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it, but I don't think I'm going to love it. I'm going to be like, I'm just going to try and get through it.
You might love it. You don't know. I mean, it's.
I have a feeling I'm going to get through it and just try not to hate it. That's my thing, and I don't like being like that, but I'm done with everything. I'm officially an old man. I went to the movies the other night. I haven't gone to the movies by myself in like 15 years. Okay.
Wow.
And I really want to see Annabelle, right? So I'm like, so you know what? My kids are asleep. My wife's asleep. I said, honey, I'm going to just run over to the local theater. I'm going to go see it at 10 o'clock at night. She was, okay, go ahead. So I went. It wasn't good. And I wanted to like it. You know what I mean? I'm like waiting to like this movie. It wasn't scary. It wasn't tense. It wasn't anything. I'm like, this isn't a good movie. I'm like, what is going on? What did I just watch? And I got out of it and I realized, like, I don't like anything anymore. Like, nothing satisfies me. Unless I'm watching something I've already watched and I like. Like, you know, I watched The Haunting of the Hill House, whatever. I really enjoyed it.
That was new?
It was new, but then I'm like, there's nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, you'll come upon it.
No.
You know, well, part of it, too, it's about life. I mean,
I'm where, you know what it is? I honestly say this, and Johnny, I've told you this before. You know this. I would rather see a movie with my kids and watch them enjoy it than enjoy it myself.
It's very sweet of you.
You know what I mean? Like, I am looking forward to seeing Teen Titans versus Teen Titans go. I bought the Batman versus Ninja Turtles animated thing. I can't wait to sit down with them and watch it. I'd rather do that than... I finally watched Meg the other day, okay? I missed it in the theater because I love shark movies.
The Meg? Nice.
Yeah, Jaws is my favorite movie of all time.
What'd you think of the Meg?
It was awful.
Oh, man, I knew it. Corey
it was
Brown,
Fast and the Furious, but with a shark. They go, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. I'm like, I didn't know that. Like Jason Statham, I'm like, I forgot he was even in the movie. It was almost unwatchable.
Oh, man.
There's that new one coming out. What is it? Something below 8 feet?
Yeah, it's meters, whatever. I don't know. And that movie with the alligator, I'm like, I don't know if or the crocodile.
But
whatever.
Actually, that looks good. I mean, I'm not into like those.
The problem
movies,
I have with it. This is the problem I have with it. And Johnny, you know this. Jaws. Everybody in there is normal and regular. It's just happening to people.
Yeah,
It could be you, me, the guy everybody hates like Joe Ott, or the kid on the raft or whatever. When these other movies come out, it's like, okay, that guy's an a-hole. He's gonna go down fast, and they do. And it's like, okay, this is the biggest jerk on earth. He's gonna have a weird, stupid death at the end, and that's what happens. I don't want that. I want it to be just like we're all sitting here right now, and a Demogorgon comes right out of the ceiling and just takes Johnny's heads off. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see it where it's like, oh, the guy that's banging on this window and won't leave us alone, a bear's gonna eat him.
I want to see Dr. Johnny pull all the teeth out of a Demogorgon.
No, you don't, because you won't even watch it.
No, I would have to watch that. That'd be good. He'd be good at it. We have to knock the crap out of it.
If a Demogorgon was here and has quite a few teeth, would you have to use an elevator? Or would you just
probably just yank it. They're
Just
pretty
yank it?
straight.
Yeah. I like that.
Nice.
But also to go back, the thing too is like you're saying everything. It's like, I mean, we're not old. I mean, we're 40s. You know, we're 40, but like we've experienced a lot of stuff. Especially we were talking with the Marvel movies.
I'm
like,
done.
Well, yeah, like
I'm
with
done.
With the Marvel stuff, it's like we read the books. This isn't new to us. You know, these twists and
But not
stuff
even
we've
that,
seen
though.
before.
I
So
just-
it's like, well, this isn't a surprise.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's cool. It's good that people enjoy it. That's great.
I want that. I want them to enjoy it. But it's like, I had a conversation today with a guy who doesn't come that much. He goes, "Oh, did you see Spider-Man?" I go, "No, I'm not gonna see it." Oh, why? I said, "I just don't." Oh, why? Oh, why? I said, "I'm kind of like done with superhero movies. Not done, but I'm just like, I don't need them. They're not for me. They're making them for everybody else. I don't want them. You know, it's not a bad thing. I just don't need them. I don't need it."
You like all these like horror stuff. You like It and Haunting a Hill House and Anna or The Conjuring.
Because you know
and stuff.
why I like those? Because this is my problem. If it's set before like technology is, I want to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I'm familiar with it. I like that those times are fun time, like the 80s and early 90s when it was just like whatever. So it takes place like literally when I was the same age I was when I was younger. Conjuring and stuff like that, it's like the late 60s, early 70s, which not much changed from like 1970 to 1985. It was
Just better music.
better music and like maybe a cordless phone type of thing. You know,
Answering machines.
Yeah, that's
Hello.
it. Nothing really life changing. You know, as far as like maybe a Walkman compared to like a record player, but nothing like
I think probably the biggest thing though. I mean, like we had the internet in the 90s,
But it
and
was
it was kind of,
different,
but it was
It was
slow
weak.
and everything.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest change was when the cell phones.
Yeah, because you couldn't. I remember getting
Like personal ones. Like you can wear like not the huge brick ones.
No,
like,
but I remember like first cell phones we used to call people, but I remember like being able to get scores on my phone. I was like, wow, I know the score of the Red Sox game. This is ridiculous. Like, it was weird. Or if a trade happened,
bro?
and then texting changed everything, and now obviously everything's on your phone. Social media has changed. It's not bad. I'm just saying. I do like it when it was simpler. I get overwhelmed when it's like so much coming. I can't. I'm just like I can't do this. So, as far as the movies are, if it takes place in a certain time, most horror movies take place back because the house is haunted and it's a family. And with technology, it's harder to pull that stuff off. So it's easier if it's like 1963 and it's just a family that lives in the woods 2 miles away from the closest neighbor. So you can terrorize them with anything.
Well, yeah. Well, again, it's the cell phone stuff. It's like there's very unless it could go down and it doesn't work.
Yeah, because if the electricity goes off, you can still use a cell phone.
Exactly. Or if you're lost, you could just call the phone and say, hey,
GPS on, whatever you want to do. You can't do that. Like people don't realize like waiting outside a place at 5 o'clock and it's 5:35. Do I wait? Because I know once I walk away, they're gonna pull up, and you don't, that we're looking for a payphone or something.
Well, that's the biggest thing with all these ones when they keep wanting to reboot stuff and redo it or remake it. You got to kind of like look, does it make sense? I mean, does it work now? I mean, sometimes it just work as period pieces. Like some things, like I know this isn't really there. Is like You Have Mail, which is
You've Got Mail, you mean?
You've Got Mail. With Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And but that was originally with Spencer Tracy. That was an older movie, which was actually with letters.
Letters, okay.
Yeah. But it works, with the thing. It's a little bit different, but like Brewster's Millions, there was actually like 6 different movies about that throughout the history from the 20s, which is like, do you know what Brewster's Millions is?
Richard Pryor.
With Richard Pryor and stuff. So, yeah, like you would say, but it works. It's a timeless kind of thing. You can switch it around. It doesn't necessarily need that. But like if you try to do like Red Dawn was perfect for its time. It was a fear of the Russians attacking.
Which, by the way, back then, because we didn't have any type of... We were just going by what was fed to us. Mm. In school, they were like, the Cold War's coming. Like World War III's coming. So, like, our teachers put that into your head. Like, it was going to happen. So when that happened, I remember sitting in, like... I was in 2nd grade when that came out. My neighbor took me to see it. I remember being like... I was petrified. I remember sitting in school and looking out my window because the windows are very similar to the ones I seeing the paratroopers drop down. Like, I couldn't... Nowadays, if that did happen, they wouldn't get close to us. But 2, you'd get so many messages you wouldn't know.
Well, exactly.
Back then, you didn't know because it was just whatever. So that's why I think I fell in love with the first season of Stranger Things because it brought me back that 70s show I loved because it was set in that time window and which was familiar to me. Because I think it's boring if everything...
Yeah, I don't want to see 10 people sitting on the couch on their phones in a movie. That is not appealing at
all.
No,
it's not appealing at all. So I like period pieces and certain time frames, obviously. I don't... Like the 20s, I'm not going to really get into. But like if it's like, 1960 to 1980, there's not much difference. Like it's not a drastic change, Things look differently, but it's the same. So that's why I think I gravitate towards that stuff. So yeah, so I think the movie this year is going to be It Part 2 and Star Wars. I think that's really I'm looking forward to because every movie I've looked forward to, I walked out like I don't want to see this. I can't believe I just sat through that. I can't do it.
You keep your expectations low,
Meg,
bro.
I was waiting for this like really bad, fun shark movie, and it was just bad.
It was real bad. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't care. I didn't want it to end. It finally did, but I'm glad I didn't pay for it. And I'm glad I didn't see Conjuring in IMAX. I would have been pissed.
A Walking Dead question for you to go back to that. You were talking about customers who come in that only purchase Walking Dead. Obviously some people branch off to other stuff, but you got people that just come in for that once a month Walking Dead. Today, or the day that we're recording this podcast, is the day that 193 came out. How many people would you say came into Zapp today that you haven't seen before that were just picking up this issue? Just 193. Or how many calls did you get? Or both?
50.
Okay, people just want 193.
That either I didn't know they were, or they just want to Walking Dead.
Yeah. Now, when someone comes in and says they're just here for that 193, you just sell them that 193 and they're on their way, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to try and sell them something else. I'll be very friendly to them. Hey, how are you? Whatever. And like a lot of times they tell you, oh yeah, my store sold out, or.
You got some of those too. People.
That's where all the calls are coming from.
Really?
All the stores are sold out.
You don't have other stores calling you, do you?
Yeah. No. They have in the past.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't for this. But maybe you never know. But no. That's what that. A lot of the calls were for because they couldn't find it. But a lot of them where you could tell they're like, listen, my brother I work close to here. My brother, and you can see the phone. My brother said I need to pick up the new Walking Dead issue, and I need a bag and board for it. I don't know what that means, and you can tell they don't know.
Yeah.
They're on their way. You know, they're like, thank you, and they just leave. A couple guys like, oh, wow, I've never been in here before. This is cool. I didn't realize that, and they pick up a trade or something like that. So we had some of the guys that kind of walk around the store, but you can tell a lot of the guys they were just like literally like, hey, grab some milk on the way home. Them coming in buying that, and you could tell they were reading on their phone. They're like walking in. They're like, oh, 190. This is a new one, because we had the new one behind the counter.
Yeah.
On the shelf, I had the second printing of 192. So some people brought that one up. I said, you need a new one. They go, what? And I'm like, it's this one. They go, oh my god, yeah, I didn't know. So they just grab it and go. I just didn't want to, even because sometimes we put signs out. I don't want somebody to come up with a stack because I want to be like, hey, listen, you only buy one of these. It's easier. Keep you on the counter. If they're there, if they need it, they're gonna ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'll ask them. You know.
Not everybody needs to be a jerk and sell copies on eBay and stuff like that. You know, let's let people enjoy before we freaking cash in on it.
Yeah. So I mean, if you have a copy you want to sell on eBay, go right ahead. I don't care. But I'm gonna do my best.
Much of it? I mean, there's a lot of
them.
How many, you know what I mean?
Do we have a print number?
It hasn't been released yet. I'm sure it will be when they show the numbers for.
Is 200,000 copies a fair guess, or is that not?
No, that's too many.
It's too many. So I think it's not a lot at all. So
I don't think because I think the second printing 192 might be. If it's not beating it, it's going to be close to it. I don't see it being big because nobody's going to order the next issue after Rick dies big. Even if he said they're returnable, it's just not. I think if it's over 100, it's high.
Okay.
But either way, like I said, it ran its course. It's hot right now, but it's going to die down. So I think it's going to be one of those books it's always going to be worth more than it is. But I think last time I checked, it was going for like almost $20. I can see when it's all settled, it's going to be like an $8 or $10 book forever, and that's like whatever, it's the last issue,
Okay.
And due to the size of it, it should be $8 because it's a triple size issue, whatever.
Okay, so what about this thought then? So you're saying that like 100,000 is like a generous, like big number for an issue of a comic book, like one of the biggest ones?
It's usually incentivized. That's why they get that number.
Okay, so there's clearly millions of people reading Walking Dead all over the world, right?
No. There's no people watching the show.
So the comic book does not. I know it doesn't have the same, width as the show.
Or people reading trades.
The trade sells better than it.
Okay,
I mean, I know number-wise, it's the issues, but when the dust settles, the trades will eventually outsell because people just buy. It's a reader book. There's collectors, but majority of the people who buy Walking Dead are readers, so they're just gonna read the arc.
So I'm even if it's wrong, I'm going to say I think there's going to be there's at least 1 million people on this earth that read Walking Dead. So the print run does not justify that. So like you guys just said, the trades is one thing. Do you think that like illegal downloading? I think there's 1 million people that illegally download comic books and are reading.
Oh, I'm sure. That way. I'm sure.
There's so much awareness for it. That's why when you say that's such a low number, seemingly for a print run for one of the biggest comic books, how can that be if it's so popular? The trades. I forgot about trades. Okay.
I think a lot more people do trades than the regular than one issue at a time. Yeah. I mean, that was always it. Like, because a lot of those people are like, well, I'll just wait for them. They don't have to.
Yeah, and two, it's a long series. So if you're a casual reader, you don't want like almost a long box worth of books. You just don't want that. On your bookshelf, you can have 30 volumes of a book. It's fine because it'll be like one shelf. It has the square binding or whatever and the numbers on the bottom.
Okay.
So that's. I just looked up. It's going for like $30 right now, but
$30 already.
But it's day one. It'll once everybody has their fill, it'll drop. It might go back up again during Comic-Con in October because if it's still hot.
Yeah.
And the second printing could be big too if the cover is different. If the cover is different and it's like more telling because this is obviously it fit all the other covers. And they can do third, fourth, fifth. They can keep doing printings of it, and then do very limited ones. It's not gone. I mean, it's still gonna come out. But I'm just curious as what he's gonna do. I mean, there's gonna be another compendium, obviously. So at some point.
In the eulogy for the book, 193, he talks about how collections play a big role in how they plan things and stuff like that. And he specifically brings up like compendium number 4 and how this would all have to fit in there, and he wouldn't want to have to force compendium and trade and hardcover readers to have to buy some other, not to confuse them with like a smaller final book or something like that. He wanted to keep it all perfect so everything fit and like that. I thought that was pretty interesting because, you're a writer, you're a wild card. You know, I mean, I know he's super planned out and he's got everything mapped out perfectly. But to have something end just to fit, into a collected edition, that sounds like it might be harder than it actually is, because if you're writing a story and you're fleshing out, the storyboards for your artist to write and everything, I mean that definitely increases the pressure on having to fit that in there. It's like, okay, well, we're gonna do one final issue that's 3 times the size of a normal one. If it doesn't fit in here, like, we can't include it. We have to condense, and I can't even imagine the editing process of writing an ending to that and having to make it fit like a certain, like a brackets, putting the brackets on. That's tough to do,
well,
right?
That's the big complaint about it, is writing for the trades. You know what I mean? Because it's like, instead of being organic, and this is the story of what's going on. It could be, you could have, one shot, which there's some great one shots, or 2 issues or 5 issues. You know what I mean? But if you say, well, we got to have 6 issues for this thing, and then that's where it gets to be, well, we're padding stuff out, we're making it a little bit longer, we're making this story. You know what I mean? It's, that's where it gets kind of, that's kind of a knock against it. You know what I mean? If you're thinking more about, well, we got to sell this trade, well, so what? You know what I mean? You just do whatever.
In Walking Dead, it's one continuous story, and a lot of times there's arcs. It's like a 6-part arc of the Whispers or whatever. So it's kind of done that. It's more like what Jonny was saying. If it's a Iron Man book, and it's like it's the trade gonna have 6 issues, and the first 4 issues are a legit story, and the other 2, it's like, then you're like, what? You know what I mean? So it makes more sense. And you're not gonna so like Saga announced it's gonna be 104 issues.
Okay.
And they said that each compendium is gonna have 52 issues in each one, so it's 2 compendiums. So they announced it's literally halfway down. I might be maybe it's 48 and 48. I forget. They announced when the last number is. It's gonna. I think it's at least. I think it's 100. But anyway, so it's gonna be 52 and 52. So it fits nicely in 2 compendiums. It's literally halfway done. It's
so finite though. Like, what if Brian Vaughan's sitting there and he's like, I need one more issue.
Yeah, maybe he already wrote the entire story. Maybe it's done. That's fine. It's okay to have that.
Yeah.
But again, with that, I mean, if it truly is, then hopefully they would be like, okay, well, there's 1 extra issue in this one. You know what I mean? Like, who,
it happens,
that's what it should be. You shouldn't have to sacrifice the story to fit it in a book.
Yeah.
And keep in mind too, if you go by the numbers, there's not 200 issues, so that's a big thick issue. That's at least 2 or 3 issues, so it would get it closer to 200 like that. And
sure.
There you go. And I'm sure 100 was bigger. I'm sure there's other ones that were bigger. It's all laid out. They don't just put them out. Like, we look at it like that, but no, this stuff's already planned out.
But what's funny too is the opposite of that is Fables.
Would they have to add stuff to make it fit?
No. They have it was 125 issues, I think. And most of they put them in trades and stuff, and they had different widths depending on the arcs.
Sure.
But the final one was actually a trade. The final issue was it wasn't
a full trade.
It wasn't maybe a full thick one, but it was it was square bound and
abnormal, and
it was thicker than the one the Gotham by Gaslight. I mean, it's square bound, but it's not. It's thicker than that. You know what I mean? Which is a big thing. That's and it's so you could fit it with your trades, but it's still your final issue.
It's an issue.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I'm more of that way. I think you should write your story the way you want it written. You should be like, oh, we got to sell this trade, for $10 or whatever they're doing. Yeah. Marvel $40.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see 5-10 years from now. But you know what, Sandman still sells, and you know what they do? They repackage it. This week we got the Joker graphic novel, which was by Azzarello and Bermejo. It came out in 2009.
It's old. What do you mean you just got it?
They re-released.
It was only in hardcover.
Oh, they made it floppy.
Okay. So, and it's obviously the team that did Damned. So they made it a black label book, and they put it in a regular size trade. We got 10 copies of it today. We sold all 10 copies of it because people didn't know what it was. And even though it's old, it's new to them.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to love that because that's one of the greatest Batman
tales. So you just repackage it. There's a new... We just ordered it. It comes out at the end of July. There's a new printing for Watchmen. It's going to be a new... I think the cover is going to be lenticular. Or it's going to have the Rorschach on the cover, as opposed to just the yellow button face.
See, now, I have so many different versions of that, but if there's a lenticular Watchmen cover, I have to get that. Yeah. So that's crazy.
I could be wrong, but that's what I think they're doing. And Sandman, they're releasing the anniversary ones. And sometimes they make them bigger It used to be 10 volumes, now it's going to be like 6. So instead of being like a bunch of small trades, it just makes the trades bigger with more issues in it. They do that a lot. They kind of Why Last Man did that. It was like 10 volumes, now it's like 6, I think. They
that's kind of weird because the Sandman were always there because they're titled.
Yeah.
Each trade, and they have like
no, Sandman's still 10. Preacher is the one they made.
Oh, okay.
It was 10, I think, or 9. Now it's 6. They just made them bigger.
Oh, okay.
You know, they so yeah, Sandman I think is still.
Well,
10
Sandman's coming out.
On Netflix. Yeah, but I'm saying like they just they just repackage it, repurpose it, and you get the guys that like already have a complaint. I'm like, yeah, but it's not for you. You understand something? I know it's classic. It was 32 years ago, but if a kid's 18 years old, guess what? He needs to see it for the first time.
That's right.
Unless he goes on a history lesson with you, and you show him, he's not going to see it. So this might be how he sees it. And so instead of saying, oh, you have the one with the movie cover, say, oh, guess what? I read that when I was your age too. Do you like it? Let's talk about it, and here's something else to read. But instead they go, oh, you're not a real fan because, a kid will have a Led Zeppelin shirt on. Name 2 songs. Kid's like, well, my dad always plays Stairway to Heaven when we're in the garage.
Moby Dick.
When he's working on the car, and he got me this shirt for Christmas. What am I supposed to say? It's okay.
Yeah, it is okay.
If you have a Yankee shirt on, Johnny, and I say name the entire lineup, if you can't, so I say you're not a real fan, I'm like, no, you're a dentist, a full-time dentist, you have a kid, a wife, and everything else. How are you supposed to know the entire? It's okay not to know. You don't have to.
It's okay to not be a mega fan.
But I understand what you're saying, but also you're going like, but if you're just wearing it because you want to wear it, then you're not a fan.
No, but I'm not saying that.
I'm not like you know what I mean. That's different. Like,
but it's okay to be a casual fan.
You can be different levels. Yes, yeah. You can be a casual fan.
You can say you're a diehard Yankee fan, and I say, okay, name the 1962 lineup. You can't. I'm like, you're not a fan. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm not as big as a fan. Like I wouldn't be like as I was like a sophomore in high school.
Well, yeah, because you have a life. You can't watch the games like you used to. You don't cut the cards.
Listen to on the radio and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're casual. Oh crap, they won. Good. Oh crap. Oh man, they just blew the lead. You kidding? Like that's what you do. You know what I mean? I love the Red Sox, but I can't watch the games. I barely watch them. I can't. And you watch the highlights in the morning. You listen to it at night a little bit. I put on MLB Network and see the highlight. The in-game stuff. That's what you got to do. That's why football is so much easier. It's one game, so you can watch the game and be done with it. Baseball and all that is hard. And people, you have lives. People said to me, like, go back to the movie thing. The kid's like, oh, you run a comic book store and you don't watch the movies. Doesn't make any sense. I'm like, yes, it does. Like, if I work in a candy store, eventually I'm going to get sick of eating candy.
Yeah,
because they sell it. I'm like, yeah, here's a new Wonder Bar. Here you go. What is it? I don't know, chocolate.
Oh, man, did you try the new Wonder Bar?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I'm like, I don't like it. I don't want it anymore. I'm full. Mm-hmm. So if I go out, I want to get. I'm a bartender all day and I serve comics all day. Okay, comics. The other days I'm at the warehouse, comics. I'm at home, I'm pricing comics. I'm whatever.
So when you go out with your friends, you don't want people asking you about comics. You want anything else.
I want to talk about how bad Annabelle was, or like what my kid did at swim class. You know what I mean? That's what you want to do. I'm like, I don't want to go see a movie. I don't need to run to see the movie. I just don't. And it's because it's not meant for me. I don't need it. It's meant for you guys. Enjoy them. Stop worrying about what I like, and you like what you like.
Stop worrying about me, bro.
That's it.
Let me ask you about this. To cap up Walking Dead. So, it's over, the whole shebang. Let's call it a shebang, that's a wrap, right? All is said and done, I get it. Everything's done, it's been eulogized, goodbye. That being said, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, something like that, is there, you being a retailer, you have any prediction or any hint or a notion or a feeling of any type of any little rumbling from the Walking Dead camp, a miniseries, a spin-off? Do you think it's like even a twinkle in anybody's eye, or
yes.
You do? In what capacity?
I could always see, like, Kirkman or whoever doing. Well, it's always gonna be Kirkman, so doing kind of like a backstory on one of the characters.
Okay.
Just a standalone, like, okay, just have Michonne as Michonne. Like, give her like a 12-issue series, and it has her early years. Before she became... I know they kind of touch on it, but they actually show her story. You can do that character-driven, you know what I mean? You can do one-shots with the characters if you want. I know they kind of did it in the Playboy?
They did.
And then they put it together.
Yep.
You can do that with other characters.
That was the Negan story.
Yeah, the Negan story.
No, that was an Image Plus.
It was Image Plus, and the other one was Playboy. So you can do stuff like that, to bring them along.
So our main story is over. Obviously, that's a wrap, last page. But like you just said... Like, there's 15 years of story that has not been told.
Many characters.
Okay.
There's many characters, and you can just do backstories on them if you ever wanted to. I don't think he needs to. I don't think he will, right now. But you can go back to it. You know what I mean? Like when they did before Watchmen. Watchmen was untouchable. Watchmen was Watchmen.
Yeah, Watchmen doesn't need anything else. I mean,
And
before
then,
Watchmen's cool, but it was
I think
unnecessary.
for the 10th or 15th anniversary, Alan Moore was signing off on to do an entire toy line, all this stuff like that, and then he got mad and left. So when Moore chirped that, "Oh, you can't touch this, I will never do it," he was going to do it. And something scared him off, but he was going to do it.
Wow.
So it's a property. You know what I mean? And to go back to Watchmen, again, when the movie came out, and everybody's like, "Oh, the movie wasn't very good." Yeah, but they sold over 1 million copies of this book that we probably sold 1 copy a year of, because it was just like, it's like blankets and mouse.
Mouse car.
No, just mouse.
Mouse. M-A-U-S.
Yeah, mouse.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those books you always have to have on the shelf, just because it belongs on you. You need to have it.
You need to have a copy.
But
Yep.
you don't necessarily run out to buy it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, everybody has a copy of like The Killing Joke, or everybody has a copy of, whatever. Those are the books. This is one from that book you sell like once. You always need a V for Vendetta. You always need it on your shelf. You sell like maybe one a year, one every few months. I needed stacks of these up front, and they're just buying it and buying it. So you got 12, 13, 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old people who have never read this are reading it. And people complain. I'm like, this is a good thing. It's getting that into their hands. Then before Watchmen was coming out. Same thing happened then. You know what I mean? Now Doomsday Clock. Same thing happened now.
You're going to have to get more for when the HBO series comes.
Yeah, Watchmen.
Oh, I'm pumped for that. I hope it doesn't suck.
There you go. Done. That's it. Just like 193. I'm done.
That's a wrap.
First off, it's like an oven in here.
Oh, God.
I am going to pass out. I feel the way I thought you felt when you were talking about pulling teeth. I don't know what. I put the AC on. I don't know what happened, but
He put the heat on.
You did. In the hot seat, bro.
Hot seat, bro. So, yeah. That was interesting.
Well, this was a weird day, or yesterday, a weird 2 days of comic book thing. I was very, very taken off guard, very surprised.
But it's good. It's good to be surprised.
I love being surprised, so that was great. As a longtime fan and reader, I don't know if I'm satisfied yet. I'm sure it'll hit me in a day or so if I am or not. I love it. I thought it was great, so I can't complain. That's why I'm asking is there a future of prequels or intermittent quill, if you will, in between the 15 years they did this time jump?
Yes, I think they can do it. I think you can do a story between the 15 years.
Do you think they will? In like 10 years.
Right now, no, but you don't know in 10 or 15 years what's going to happen. You have no idea. He has no idea. He doesn't know how he's going to feel.
Yeah, John Bush might come back to Anthrax. You never know.
I remember, even though I don't like the guy, Lars Ulrich, I'm not a fan of him, the drummer for Metallica. When they put out their new stuff, 20 years ago, which was awful.
Yeah.
People kept on saying to him, I want another Master of Puppets.
Never going to happen.
But he's like, listen, I already made Master of Puppets. I was 18 years old or whatever when I made Master of Puppets. Now I'm 40. I'm a different person. I'm not that person. And I get it. I understand that. When I was in high school, I loved like the first album for Korn, 9 Inch Nails, all this heavy, angry, angsty stuff.
Ugly stuff.
Now I'm like, I put it on. I'm like, I have to be in the mood for it. I still enjoy it, but I'm like, I'm 42 years old.
Dated,
I don't want to go down the street listening to this stuff.
You're right.
I'd rather put on like Queen.
Hello.
There you go, or some Black Keys.
Guar, right? Yeah, all the good stuff.
Just, don't you dare, Joe. We almost made it through. God.
We almost made it through.
Yeah, we almost made it through. Joe laughs, huh? So, that's it. You got anything to sign off on, Johnny?
No,
that's it?
I'm good.
No.
Okay.
What's the first thing you do after you yank the tooth out?
Put it on the tray.
No, but what do you do with the gums or anything, or the hole?
Well, you make sure it's closed. You put the gauze on it. Tell them to bite on it.
Nice.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah.
You don't put like a little piece of chocolate in there for him? Just like for later?
Chocolate? What is wrong with you?
I'm messing with him, man.
This is weird.
Dude, you're weird.
All right.
This was a good podcast.
It was fun. Do you have a shout out? I would do shout out. Do you have a shout out for anybody?
What up, Gigi? That's it.
Johnny?
No. What? Hey.
Hey guys, my name's Johnny.
I think this might have been our best podcast yet. People listening, chime in on the internet. I want to know if you guys thought this was a good one.
I thought the last one was pretty good.
No, I think they've all been fine. I have no problem with them.
They're all fine.
Yeah.
I think this one was good.
Yeah, because you were talking about your stuff. That's why.
I think Dr. Johnny was good.
I mean, I think if we matched, if this was a mashup of Walking Dead and Gore, oh my God, his head would have exploded.
Oh my God.
Off.
Forget about it.
Yep.
Forget about it. For Johnny Knoll, Joseph Ott, this is Corry Brown. It's been the Zapp Comics Radio Podcast. See you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Zapp Comics Radio Podcast. 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 Zapp Comics Radio